And we're back with the If You Build a Podcast. I'm Riyad Ali.
I'm Will Ellis. And again, this podcast that I love, we're on episode 11.
If you remember the name.
If You Build It, the greatest podcast on earth. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. Celebrates entrepreneurs and the journey it takes to have an idea, the struggle to success. I am very honored. I've known Dan Baker for many, many years. Play ball together, and I used to frustrate him because I was so good at basketball for a fat black man.
Before we go into anything, was he actually good in basketball?
That's a lie.
There you go.
That's a lie.
Anyways, Dan Baker.
Although, he's better at basketball than he is at squash. I'll tell you that.
Well, come on now. Squash, I beat him in squash. I beat you at squash.
Only the first two games.
I beat you at squash a couple times.
A couple times.
Yeah. If I beat you more than once, I did beat you. Thank you. We should play again. It's been a few years.
I'm old and broken now.
Well, we should get together.
I now have stage 4 osteoarthritis in my hips, so I
have stage 3 in both knees.
PRP shot. I tore my hip last year. Couldn't touch my toe. PRP shot healed everything.
What is a PRP shot?
Yeah, we'll talk about it anyway.
No, you might as well go. Dan Baker, owner of Profit by Intention, PRP shot. Go.
So I tore my hip. So I had a hip impingement and moved, and then I tore my labrum. I went to every doctor, everything out there. Nothing healed me. And then I went to this one surgeon downtown. He said, do a PRP shot. They take blood from your arm. They put it in a machine. They spin it very fast, maybe about 5 or 10 minutes. It enriches the plasmas in it. They inject it into your problem. If you have arthritis, tears, and it regrows back the tissue.
Interesting.
I'll send you the link after.
Send me the link.
It will heal you, apparently. So Dan owns a very successful financial planning business, from taxes to financial planning to whatever, investments. He's your guy. And so tell us about your business and, sort of the idea behind it and, and all that.
Well, it's funny that your podcast is called the If You Build It podcast, because that's pretty much what we've done over the last 15 years. So we're on iteration number 4 now. So we started out just as I'm a certified financial planner by designation. So we started out as a financial planning company. And then in 2007, I figured, well, if I'm going to do financial planning, we should probably know something about taxes. So I took a tax course, and of course, the H&R Blocks of the world try to recruit you to do taxes for them. So I worked for them for a summer because I just wanted to get some experience, right? And so we started building that in, and it just exploded on us. So we started doing it for friends and family, and then 30 clients went to 60 clients, and we were almost doubling every year because we ran some promotions. And then all of a sudden, the tax business was almost as big as what we were doing from a financial planning standpoint. So as the years went by, it got very difficult though, because I always felt like we were running 2 separate businesses, but trying to bring them together. And I was trying to find this piece that would be able to just join the 2 of them in a nice strategic way. And I was on the treadmill one time at the gym, and I was reading the Profit First book. And
by who?
By Mike Michalowicz. And that clicked. That was the missing piece that allowed us to add the consulting piece to everything else that we did. So we rebranded, we put it all together to the point where now I like to say we sort of have a small business specialty firm. So we do everything from the bookkeeping to corporate tax to wealth management to Profit First advisory, all for the small business owner under one umbrella.
Amazing. And what do you think as you're a business owner, but other business owners, what is their biggest struggle when it comes to money? Debt. Like business debt, personal debt.
Both. And a lot of business owners, one of the biggest problems they do is they jump in too quickly with what they think is a good idea without knowing whether or not it's going to work.
Right.
Because what I found is you'll have somebody who's an electrician, does really, really well for himself, starts out his own business because he doesn't want to work for somebody else. He's a great electrician. He's not a business owner. Right. And that is where we come in to bridge the gap.
Right.
We basically, our business starts, bookkeeping and taxes to me are the base foundation that you have to have in the business. Is the advisory portion on top of that. That is really what our clients are looking for.
So before you started this business, what did you do before this? Work in the banks or?
Oh, this is a great story. So I came out of university and I didn't know what I wanted to do.
What university?
University of Windsor. Yeah, it was
Greatest
fantastic.
university
Most bars,
in the greatest city.
It was the most
in
bars
Ontario.
per capita, I think, at the
That's
time. It was fantastic. So I came out and I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I saw an ad in the Oshawa this week, back in the old classified section.
That's right.
And it was from London Life. They were looking for people to do financial planning stuff, and so I went out there, got this spiel from a wonderful gentleman who was great at sales because he had me hooked. And the best thing he ever told me is he goes, "You can write your own check." What he forgot to tell me was that there was no ink in the pen.
Right.
Right. So I spent 5 years doing that. And it was actually pretty good. It was a good part-time job because we were young at the time. So, I mean, we would make some money and then spend it, make some money and spend it. And I hated the whole commission sales process. Like they would put your name up on the wall every week so everybody could see what you were doing. It sucked. And then I went to a major bank. I worked there for 5 years and we thought we had said everything to the mutual fund compliance people because I was running my tax business at the time that I was at the bank, and they were purelating files to me, and it was fantastic. And then finally, apparently they didn't have our disclosure form. So they came in and they gave me a choice. I could either stay at the bank and cease my tax business, or I had to leave the bank.
Right.
Right. And if you're doing financial planning at the bank, make more in a quarter on your own than what the bank actually pays you. So I left, and it took me about 5 minutes to make the decision.
Right.
And then I just started out on my own. And I worked at No Frills stocking shelves at midnight with my dad after he retired for a couple of years while I was building the business.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know you back then?
Yeah.
I never knew this.
Yeah. I used to work 11 till 7 in the morning. I'd sleep for a couple hours and then get up and build
Your
the business. Yeah. And I loved it because it was one of the few jobs you didn't have to think.
Right. It's
Put
true.
my headphones in, help myself to a chocolate bar every now and then.
What chocolate bar?
I'm a O. Henry kind of guy.
Oh, I love O. Henry.
That's my number one.
Snickers and O. Henry. Those two I go back and forth. Yeah.
My number one. I thought it would be O. Henry. I just wanted to hear you say
Yeah,
it.
definitely O. Henry.
Very interesting. Interesting stuff. Now let's talk about coming out of COVID.
Mhm.
We saw a lot of businesses take out these weird, these loans
Right.
through the government. Now being told they have to pay it back. I guess you pay back a certain percentage. How does a business manage that? And how are businesses trying to sort of hedge the economy? Like what should they do to hedge the economy going into 2024?
Well, for the loans, that program's turned into a disaster because so we deal with probably 80 small corporations on a monthly basis. And out of them, maybe probably 80% of them won't have the funds to pay that loan back, right? Because they took the money out during COVID when they needed it. Now you're coming back out. They're starting to get back to pre-COVID revenues, but that's just covering the rest of their costs. Right. Trying to put away an extra couple $1,000s a month to set aside for this loan just isn't in the cards while they're trying to keep up with their HST payments, their corporate tax payments, their payroll payments, because our wonderful government keeps raising the CPP contribution level. So their payroll goes through. It's challenging for sure. So people are getting creative. They're using home equity lines of credit to pay it off. They're doing whatever they can to try to save the $20,000. And if they can't, it just turns into a loan.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. And what are you seeing? Like, what are you advising your clients for 2024? Like, how can they, start to save or to, expand
So
their
we have
business?
a system that we run with most of our clients. So it's automatic.
Yes.
Like we set up multiple bank accounts within the business. So their HST gets set aside. So it's always ready to be paid. We have an account set up for their profit. So that gets paid. Their owner's pay goes into a separate account. So they know that's getting paid. And then we work on running the business off of what's left.
Right.
So very few of our clients, once they've been working with us for a long time, don't have money.
Right.
Right. Now, the new clients, they come on board. It's an eye opener for them.
Right.
Because they're used to taking the HST in the account. They're spending it. Then we tell them their
That's
HST.
going to be me very soon.
Yeah. We tell them their HST payment. And then they're like, wow, I just spent that on my new car. Right. So it takes a while to break those old habits.
Right.
But once we do, the system basically runs itself.
And how can someone break that habit though? Is it
It's hard. It's hard. Some people won't.
All right. Okay.
Some people won't. I mean, we have some clients that you just shake your head and you just try to help them as much as you can, but you know that they just will never get it.
And again, if someone misses an HST payment, they get charged interest, but
They get charged interest.
It's not a criminal
Yeah, I mean,
offense.
we file return for them, so we know that they never get late filing penalties.
I know one of those. I'm one of those people that doesn't learn. I'm hearing you yell at me every year, but
yeah. See, we file everything because I hate paying the government filing penalties.
Yes.
But if you don't have the money to pay it, they just charge their interest rate and off you go.
Right. Interesting.
So if I'm a new entrepreneur starting up a business, what are 3 or 4 things you recommend that I do?
Get an HST number. I hate that people wait till they get to 30,000. Because think of it this way. I get this question probably 10 times a month. Think of it this way. You come to my house, right? And I hire you to install a toilet. You're a brand new plumber. If you come to my house and you give me an invoice and there's no HST number on it, the first thing I do is make an assumption. I'm going to think either you're brand new in the business, in which case do I really want to hire you to do a job at my house, or you've been in business for a while and you've never made $30,000, because a lot of people know that rule.
True.
Right? So I always tell people, get your HST number right off the bat. You could be in the business for a day or 10 years and nobody will know the difference. Right? Plus you make money on HST because you're paying HST on a lot of your supplies. Right? So you get to save that money when you remit your HST return.
Actually, that is really good advice.
Well,
That's actually very good advice.
We try. That's
okay. What's your next tip? I'm taking some notes.
Next tip is to start slow. Right? Too many people start a business and then go out and buy everything that they're ever going to need. Right. I had a client once, no longer in business. He set up a website, paid $40,000 for a website, had beautiful pictures. Everything was wonderful on it. Then decided he wanted to create a course. Right. So he spent $10,000 building this course. The day the course went to launch, he had 3 people buy it. Right. As opposed to doing things the way I do it, I would sell the course, then figure out how to make it.
Right.
Because if nobody buys your course, why spend the money in trying to build it? So what you do is you build the course, you release a section at a time, right? You build section 1, you release it. They work on it. While they're doing that, you're building section 2, right? And then you iterate every time you rebuild it. So if you're starting a new plumbing business, don't go out and buy 5 trucks right away. Don't go out and buy the machinery. If you need a specialized piece of equipment, rent it. Right? Keep your overhead as low as you possibly can.
For how long? Is there a time period or
until your bank accounts tell you? See, the way we set it up is if you came to me and said, Dan, listen, I need to buy, I deal with a lot of gym owners. So if he says, listen, I need to buy new equipment. Well, we open up a bank account and we start saving for that equipment now before he's going to need to buy new equipment.
Interesting.
Then when the time comes, they've got the money to buy it.
Interesting. Actually, okay. Any other tips?
Those are the 2 main ones. And stay out of debt as much as possible. That's a killer.
Right.
Like we will review a profit and loss statement with a client and we'll say you had a $7,000 profit this month. But what's not on there is all your debt payments as a balance sheet item. So they see net profit on their profit and loss, but they have no money.
Right. But when you're hearing in the news and being in real estate and you know real estate pretty well as well, the amount of debt that Canadians are carrying, what is the reason why? Is it because of cost of living? Is it because people are bad at spending? There's no real estate. No, there's no money education out there.
I think it's ego.
Oh, ego. Oh,
everybody wants to have everything today. Think of it this way: when you were a kid, only my rich friends had hot tubs. Now everybody on my court has a hot tub.
You have a hot tub.
I have a hot tub. That's what I mean. Pretty much everybody on my court has a hot tub.
Right.
Okay. Can everybody afford it? I don't know. I don't know all their financial situations, but it seems like everybody has one.
They're costly to run.
They have ATVs. Everybody has 2 cars, right? People are, and it's hard. I just had to get over it during COVID.
Yes, you made a change.
I made a change.
This guy used to drive the most beautiful cars. And then he told me, I'm not knocking Kia. I'm not knocking Kia at all. But it's in my brain because you told me something like you're in drugs and
it was an ego trip. You have to get over it.
He's driving like a Kia Carnival. Great car.
Yeah.
I drove it.
What were you driving before? I got asked.
I had a BMW 530. I was all done up, but I was paying $1,000 a month lease payment for it to sit in the driveway. Me and my wife worked together. We both worked from home. At one point I did the math. I'd paid $21,000 in lease payments and we only had 19,000 kilometers on the car. So I bought it brand new.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Right. So at the end of the day, that's a stupid financial decision only because I wanted to be seen driving something nice. And I thought other people cared. Nobody cares. I learned that during COVID. Nobody cares.
True.
Right. People care about their own situation. They don't care about you.
So how do people get over themselves to get their money in line?
It's hard. It's hard. Usually they have to hit a breaking point. before they'll really make material change.
Which is what? Like what's a breaking, like bankruptcy?
No, like I've seen clients that owe the government $80,000, $90,000, right? And they don't care until their bank account gets frozen.
Wow.
Right. And then that's the breaking point where they need to start, because it's all fun and games until Canada Revenue makes you pay.
Right.
Right. And then they're like, I didn't know they could do that. Canada Revenue do whatever they want.
Exactly. Interesting.
Right.
So then, like, how do you believe that our education system should educate people on money management?
Sure.
Financial
planning. But they won't, because too many people make money off of it. Another great story. I got myself in trouble when I went to university. Every time I went to campus, I was starving because I was usually hungover from the night before. Mm. And every time I went to campus, they would have a table set up with cereal boxes and all this other stuff. And if you applied for a credit card, they would give you whatever they were giving away that day. I had like 6 credit cards in university without a job.
Right.
Right. And so I racked it. I had a beautiful diamond pinky ring. Like I racked up all kinds of stuff. Right.
A pinky,
and it's really funny because I ended up, the reason I got into this type of a business and I can relate to people is because I was a disaster. Like I had phone calls coming from like TD Bank. And it's funny now because I think my overall entire debt that I owed was like $1,500, but I didn't pay them.
Right.
So I wasn't paying them. Finally, it must have been too early in the morning because I answered the phone and the guy got me on the phone. He's like, don't hang up. I'm trying to help you. And so he worked through this whole proposal thing with me and it was great, except for the fact that I had an R9 on my credit rating, which then stayed there. So it wasn't bankruptcy, but it stayed on there for like 7 years. Well, a lot happens in 7 years.
Yes.
Right. Like to this day, I am still the only guy I know that got declined for a brick card. Like who gets declined for a brick card? I'm like, I tell my girlfriend at the time, I'm going down to the brick to buy the TV. She's like, are you sure? I'm like, freaking brick, man. Who doesn't get applied for a brick card? I'll pay in 12 months.
Right.
Had to make the phone call. I was like, yeah, I totally got declined. Can you come down here?
Wow.
Yeah. Cause a lot happened in 7 years. Right. And it's bloody embarrassing when you then start making money and you still can't get anything because that thing's on your record. So, I mean, credit is an important thing now that people should know a lot more about,
right,
and not dive into debt, but they won't teach it because all these big banks and everything make so much money off of it. Right. That's why I laugh when they sit there and they're like, well, there's debt. We got to raise interest rates because of inflation. It's their own doing.
Yeah, 100% the government's own doing.
Right. My wife at one time had a $20,000 credit card. She only made $30,000 at her job. Luckily, she's good with money and she never had a balance.
Right. So she had no debt when you guys met. She was financially sound.
She has no debt. My wife, she's fantastic with that.
She's fantastic.
Stuff. I like spending money. She likes saving money. So it's a good yin and yang.
Interesting. You see,
same in the business.
Right.
I do all of this stuff.
Right.
She keeps everything organized. And then we have other team members that do.
Have you ever rejected any potential clients?
All the time.
Why?
So I don't deal with engineers because our personalities do not match.
Wow.
Did it a couple of times.
No, but at least he knows this, right?
Never doing it again. I'm also very blunt. So if I don't think that their personality
is what?
Can hold it.
What's your background? Where your parents from? Look at your background.
Oh, Germany.
Thank you. That's why you're blunt.
I am very blunt. Like I told a friend of mine once, like her T4 from her business, she was running a relatively large business, but her T4 was $19,000. And I said, you can stop getting gray hair and just work at Walmart and say hello to people as they come in and make more money. So why are you running a business?
Right.
Right. Because that's another major small business owner problem. They fall in love with owning a business, but they're not actually making any money from it. So why do you keep going down that path?
Right.
Right. So we say no quite a bit.
Right. So I have so many questions.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, where do I start?
I mean, at the beginning, we didn't. We took pretty well out. But how do you think you became a client?
Get out of here. I am a train wreck, but I coming into you, I had a bad accountant before you.
I know.
And
what did you say to me? This is the first time I haven't been audited.
Yeah, like I was audited for true story. I had a really garbage accountant. Garbage. And this is my lesson to you guys. We're looking eye to eye. Hire someone that is actually qualified to do your taxes. I was audited. The government was chasing after me for 5 straight years. 09 to 2014 or 15 or 16. Anyways, a long time, and audited for 5 years straight. I owed the government tens of thousands of dollars. I went to hire a big accounting firm, rejected. They said, we will not help you. It was June 14th. Tax filing is June 15th for businesses. I go, Dan, I know we're friends. I'm in a bind. The government is trying to take me on and I'm going to lose. He's like, Will, I got you. And I don't know what he did. They ended up owing me money. True story. I overpaid and a whole mess. He cleaned it up in like a week and I'm ever in his debt. So if you want to work with someone that knows what they're doing, that knows how you work as well, because I work very differently than everyone works differently, I guess. But understand understand what it takes to get the job done right.
The worst part is you're so nice though about it. It's like, Will, you got to get these receipts in.
The receipt thing.
I'm going to do it this year. Will, how's that receipt thing coming along? Oh, don't worry. And he gets the big smile. It's okay.
I remember last year I did an Excel spreadsheet.
You did.
And it was, the categories are kind of weird, but there were categories that got into like June 1st, which were very rare. Very rare. Wait till June 15th or June 14th to get you. But I'm learning. This year it might be May 28th. But every year I'm getting better. Yeah, I'm getting better, 100% better. But business owners, right, who you work with, large and small, what's the common thing that you're seeing from them in terms of money, do's and don'ts?
Common theme of money, do's and don'ts. The first thing is you have to get organized, right? Our separate bank account system helps them compartmentalize what the money is supposed to be used for.
I need that.
Right? A lot of our business owners, one of their biggest problems is they get paid, realtors, right? You get paid a big chunk of money. Yep. Well, included in that money is your HST, your payroll tax. If you're taking a payroll, you're going to have all these other expenses that are going to come out of that. Right. But when you see that money in your account, there are some people who are not great with money and they're like, I've always wanted that new hot tub or ATV. And they go and buy it without thinking that, oh my God, $10,000 of that was HST that I now have to pay the government.
Right.
Right. So compartmentalizing and getting your HST out of that account first and then making do with what's left is probably the number one. That's the first thing we implement with every new business owner.
Right.
Is get that separate account set up.
Right.
And then the second one is to get out of debt as fast as you can. We set up different ways to pay down debt. Like we'll use the HST tax credit that they get back because we put the full amount of HST aside. Right. So then when they file their HST, there's usually an amount that they don't have to pay. We'll take that to apply to other debt and start paying that down in a little bit faster way.
How important is education? Like when it comes to talking to clients,
education is the main thing that we do.
Right. Like how many hours you
because that was the number one thing I know is the biggest surprise that I had when I started business, because I thought that all these business owners that are making good money knew more than me about all this stuff. And most of them know nothing. Nothing. Right. I had a guy, he came to me, he'd incorporated, but he kept running the business just like his sole proprietorship. So he just took the money out without paying any payroll. He ended up owing like $70,000 in payroll tax because he didn't know.
Right.
Here's a guy that made a lot of money, but had no idea how it works. Right. So educating the client as to how to properly manage their finances is a lot of what we do.
A lot of what you do.
A lot of what we do.
You run seminars?
No.
I thought you did run seminars.
Only for you. You asked me to do one. That was like the first time I ever put one together.
Then maybe we should do one. Maybe we should do one for business owners and stuff.
I do the odd one here and there. Somebody asks.
Right.
Like sometimes they want me to do stuff for if they have I deal with gym owners. If they have their personal training staff that are self-employed contractors, we'll do a Zoom call with them all to
do it for Prex.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
you have a couple realtor clients, right? Because I think my biggest thing I'm now incorporated is exactly that. Just understanding that you got to manage the money a bit better within your corporation
because it's not you anymore.
Exactly, it's a corporation.
Right?
That's the toughest thing.
People have a very hard time with that.
Yes.
Do you read books or anything like that?
Read lots.
What's your top 3?
Business books?
Or books in general. Do you read Daniel Steele?
No, right now I'm reading Stuart Wood's The Stone Barrington series.
What is that?
It's like a John Grisham type novel. But it's a character, and what I like is his books all carry on. So I've actually bought, like in the last 2 months, I've gone through like 17 books. And I've bought them on my little e-reader from number 1. Now I'm on number 17, and there's like 58. Wow. I read a lot.
Okay.
So what are some good books?
Tim Grover's book is my favorite, Relentless, From Good to Great. Unstoppable.
Well, what are you watching right now?
Christmas movies. W Network.
I thought he's a big Christmas.
Oh yeah. And I get made fun of all the time.
I forgot you're big.
Last night we were up in my mechanic's shop there changing the winter tires, and those guys all laughed at me. I'm a W Network freak.
My wife would love to hear that.
I just watched, which was terrible. Best Christmas movie ever or whatever on Netflix, or Brandy and Jason Biggs.
Oh,
the number 1 movie right now on Netflix.
I don't watch those ones. I watch the cheesy W Network.
So
ones.
Yeah, I have 2 girls and my wife. They love to watch that. Oh. So they'll turn it on. I got comfortable and I'm out.
No, I watch them all.
Interesting. So what are you watching? Like, what was your favorite show of 2023?
I don't watch anything new. I watch Netflix shows. I've probably seen Suits 17 times from start to finish.
You like Suits that much?
I love Suits.
If I could be somebody, I would be Harvey Specter.
Yeah,
I love
I drink his scotch. He's just
his Office. I want his Office.
Yeah, his Office. He's just.
I watched a show for Meghan Markle. I did before she became who she is now. But that's why I thought she was like she had not even a big role in the show, but whenever she was on screen, I was like, oh.
I actually met Harvey. Didn't know he was.
Where were you?
Downtown. They were filming at the Chase. So I had no clue.
Oh, nice.
And this is before I watched Suits. And there's a guy on the street, and I was standing next to him on a call and looking at him. He kept staring. I'm like, he looks kind of familiar, but had no clue. Then I started watching the Suits. I'm like, hey, that's that guy from the Chase.
Nice.
So what does a typical day look like for you, being, that you work from home, but what does your day look like usually?
Get up at 6, work till 8, take the kids to school, go to the gym, have a hot tub, back to work by 10:30. I work till I need to, until I become a professional Uber driver in the evenings.
Have the kids around, right?
Well, and we went down to 1 car.
I know, and every day you're in that car, it's like you're in a carnival.
That's right.
There?
That's right.
They're right there. You got to be very smart. You got to write in calligraphy there, Joseph, too.
I knew at some point you're going to throw that in, so.
I got it. Perfect. Well, no, that's good. So, but again, your day does change like from day to day sometimes, right?
Try not to.
Well, how important is it?
My work day stays the same.
Right.
It's more what I'm doing during that day. Like we try to set up calls with clients as much as possible. So we'll have monthly, semi-monthly, or quarterly calls with clients. So there'll be days where I'm booked on calls. So I don't get a lot of work done. We're doing meetings.
Right.
Right. And then there's other days where I'm just working.
So when do you read all these books?
Morning and night. Okay. I read in the hot tub. That's why I got the e-reader. Right.
Interesting. He's very excited about it. Look at that spot it says, but it's e-reader. What kind of e-reader is it?
I have no idea. I think it's a Kobo.
A Kobo.
Yeah.
Interesting. My other question, how do you get your business? You're a social media.
I don't do any.
You don't really do. I mean, I think
I was told I was old the other day because all I have is Facebook.
Yeah, my kids call me old when I'm on Facebook. They go, you're on the old app?
That's all I have. Yeah. I don't have any of that other stuff.
But I've seen you on Instagram.
I don't post anything. Yeah, I only have Instagram because I think Facebook linked to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like if you look, I think the only picture I have on there is like, I think one I posted by accident when I was at the Poison concert. It's like a picture of Bret Michaels.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no. So your business is 100% word of mouth.
Yeah, we do referrals. We do.
Right? That's like people like me saying, hey, go to Dan.
That's pretty well all we do.
Right.
You have an office? Like an actual office?
I did. I got rid of it after COVID.
Oh, okay.
So now I just work from home because everybody figured out how to do online. And our clients are across Canada. So we go from Nova Scotia all the way to BC.
Interesting. So it's like any money on marketing in terms of online or social, 100% word of mouth business. That's how you guys have gotten to where you are today. Are there plans for the future maybe to do some?
Depends on how much we want to expand.
Right.
Like every time, I like the way it is now because we get a higher quality contact. Right? Like typically when somebody refers somebody to us, they know the type of clients that we deal well with.
That's true.
And they're very similar, right?
Okay. That's a good point, actually.
Like I have a gym owner. He came on, he'd only been working with me for a month. He sent 3 other gym owners our way because he's a coach for other gyms.
Right.
So then he referred 3 other gym owners, right? And so then you start building up within that community, right? And you start building up all these connections. And I mean, it takes a while. Like that's another tip for business owner. You have to stick it out. Right. Like it ebbs and flows.
Were there any concerns for your business during COVID or not at all?
I thought there was.
Right.
But it ended up not. In fact, most business owners needed us more during COVID because we actually picked up a lot of business during COVID because we did things that we didn't charge for.
Right.
So we filed people's wage subsidies and their rent subsidies. We did them all and we didn't charge them any extra for it. And so then we got people that would be referred over that said, well, my person didn't do any of this stuff for us. Can you do it for me?
Right.
Sure. Why not? All right, there's a little bit of extra work there, but
now the
works out in the long run, right?
Yeah. Interesting. So again, Dan, thanks for coming on here. Again, we're already at our time, but you're not on social.
How does someone get a hold of you?
So I was trying to pull that out of you before, but you weren't really pulling in.
I have a website.
Oh, what is it?
Profitbyintention.com.
Right. And
it may or may not be up and running because I keep getting these things. So I'm not technological at all. So I keep getting these stupid status certificate things and I have no idea what that means. So I ignore them. And then every once in a while, somebody will message me and say, hey, your site's down.
So do you have a phone number?
Yep. 289-688-0092. And I can be reached at dan@profitbyintention.com.
Yes. And also your LinkedIn as well.
I don't go on that either.
Dan
I'm
Baker,
there, but I don't go on it.
Profit by Intention on LinkedIn as well. Dan, thank you. I'll say this again. Phenomenal human being. You usually dressed a lot better. But
this guy has to call. The one day you wear a blazer.
I know, this guy, I wore a blazer because I knew he usually comes in like these outrage. We go out for lunch. He's wearing like a top hat and all this stuff,
Problem is you didn't prep me well enough. I did not know that you had such a wonderful environment to do these podcasts from.
You know what? We are at a wonderful studio and we have a great producer in Joseph. And you know what? We have a very good setup here. Makes me very happy. People are always surprised. Yes. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Dan. And guys, thank you for supporting us. Again, we are available on YouTube and on Spotify, on an Apple podcast. So again, go out, watch our episodes. They are amazing. I'm a little biased, but whatever. And we'll see you soon. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Thanks.